Marcus Rashford, 1-0, Manchester derby. You almost couldn't have wrote it, could you? And do you know what? It was an absolute stonewall penalty when Di Michaelis chopped him. He absolutely toasted him, didn't he? He was gone. I don't even know where to start, you know. Absolutely buzzing with the performance. Really nervous last 20-25, and been trying to tactically think about how it all went down. And the only way I can think to describe what happened really is, I think it hinges on City's taking the defender off for throwing a forward on and trying to go for it. So you got to give some props to Pellegrini there, I think, because he did actually go for it. He wasn't settling for a defeat at home. He did try and push, but his players weren't up to it ultimately, which is ridiculous given some of the figures on display for those players that they've got. They threw two forwards on, and we did get dragged out a little bit. And what we saw from United was we sat back a little bit. I don't think we settled for the 1-0. I think we were just playing to counteract what was facing us on the pitch, which was City was attacking in numbers and they was being quite gung-ho with it. And I was hoping that when they switched it to two up front, that they would leave loads more space at the back. And maybe they did, and maybe we just didn't take advantage of that, or maybe we did, but because we was forced back to deal with it, we didn't have enough of the ball in the right area to make the killer passes. There was a few things at play, but I thought it was a really interesting game of football. If you remove the emotion from it, it wasn't the highest quality game of football, but it was a very intriguing game of football. I thought Morgan Schneiderlin was phenomenal today. I really got to take my hat off to him. I love what he does in terms of football. I love what he does in terms of being a team player. Do you know when you look at the very best so-called teams on paper, let's talk about Barcelona. Let's talk about Real Madrid. Let's talk about anybody you want to talk about, really. There's always a guy that has to do the dirty work. I think Real Madrid are lacking a little bit of a dirty work kind of guy at the moment. Barcelona have obviously got Busquets in the Busquets role. He's pretty good at the Busquets role, is Busquets. And what he does is he protects the back. It's essentially a back two in it, because Barcelona bomb forward with our fullbacks. So there's a defensive duty attached to three players, and three players can kind of cope with it. And do you know what? Actually, as I was doing a lot of research into tactics the other day, one of the most prolific tactics back in the day that everybody played. We're talking like the turn of the 19th century, early 1900s. One of the most prolific tactics played by everybody, and I think one of the quotes that I read from it was the perfect footballing tactic, you didn't need to change it, was 3 at the back, 2 in midfield, 5 up front. That was what English football was in the early 1900s, right? 3 defenders, 2 in midfield, 5 up front. And now we go, that's fucking ridiculous. But if you think about it, if you play a... Let's call it a 4-3-3, right? So your 2 defenders going to sit and your defensive midfielder's going to sit. Well, there's your 3. The other 2 midfielders can be your 2. Your fullbacks generally bomb forward anyway, don't they, and provide width. And then you've got your forward 3. That can really, especially when you start looking at average touches, on paper at times look like a 5 across the top, 2 in midfield and 3 defensive players, can't it? Very interesting. So I wanted to find that book, right? And I thought it was down here, because I've got a few books down here, but it's not down here. But it is somewhere. Is it down there? I've lost this book. What the hell I've done with this book? Which is The History of Tactics. I thought it was at work, and it's not at work, so I don't know for the life of me where it is. I'm tempted to get up and look for it now. It's going to piss me off. That's twice I've gone to look for it and I can't find it. Anyway, so this book, The History of Tactics, is a fucking brilliant book to read if you're into your footballing tactics, because it is more about the guy on the ball. There is more to football and more to tactics. So I thought it was interesting to see what happened with Louis van Gaal and Pellegrini today. I watched all the fan cams from Devils. Obviously, I've just finished all the fan cams, about 9:30 at the moment. This will hopefully not be 3 hours long, and I'll get it up probably after 10 and whatever the processing takes. So, and Charlie mentioned that we got the tactics perfect today, and he felt like we'd scouted City, and I think there's possibly an element of that. And I think there's possibly an element of that. It's just one of them things where we play against the team that wants to play football against us. City did want to play football against us. That's not been our problem all season. Our problem has been the teams that just shut up shop. They go 5 across the middle. They leave one guy up front that they're going to try and pump it to, or sometimes 2 guys up front that they're going to pump it to. They block off the midfield. They restrict that area in front of the D, which is where we've struggled anyway, even against teams that leave it open. Because we've not really had a number 9. Rooney is not a number 9. He can't lead the line. Marshall's still learning the position. He's not been played enough as the number 9. I really want to see him in that number 9 role because I think he's got the strength to hold him off. I think he's got the pace to run him behind. I think he's got the close control to beat a man. I think he's a fucking brilliant number 9. I think that's where we've got to play him. And he's not going to learn how to be a number 9 unless he's played as a number 9. This is a role that takes some learning to do. This is why it takes forwards generally a few years to really hit their peak. And that's why it's easier to be good on the wing and beat people because you generally 1v1 on the wing, or you can often make it 1v1 if your fullback bombs on, leaves you with the fullback as the other midfielder tracks the fullback, can leave you in a lot of one-on-one situations where you can go past and you can look great as a winger. Easier for players breaking through to break through in that sort of position under those sort of circumstances. As a number 9 in football at the moment, traditionally, well, there's not really many 2-striker partnerships, so you're probably going to be leading the line on your own, which means that you're going to have to look to the midfield to help you out, and it's a harder game to learn. And someone who's doing it very well for an 18-year-old at the moment is Marcus Rashford, so we can't go without mentioning him, can we? What Marcus is doing, he isn't holding it up, but he is leading the line, and he's not leading the line in a big orthodox English centre-forwards style of leading the line because he hasn't got the strength in himself yet because he's very slight. He's 18 and he's absolutely rapid, but I bet there's not much weight to him. I bet he's 9 stone. There's not a lot in him. He's not got big legs yet. You know, he might fill out into like an original Ronaldo style of frame, but I can't see it. He might fill out into a Danny Welbeck style of frame. He might fill out into an Alan Shearer style of frame. I'm not sure what he's going to fill out in. He's not the tallest. He is quite slight. Maybe he'll just stay as he is and maybe he'll be fine like that. There's a lot of players who have hit the top that aren't the biggest physically, but they've got a big strength to them. Marcus's best strength is his speed. It's his speed coupled with his attitude, actually, because his attitude is fantastic. And one of the things that I always said about him watching him in the 18s was he doesn't have any composure. He's often running too fast, and if he starts to... In fact, you know what? I'm recording on my phone. I was going to pull my phone up and get the quote that I said about him. There's an article that I did called Manchester United Class of 2016. And in that, I say Marcus Rashford, it's going to be on if he learns how to be composed in front of goal. And you know what? Today we saw a composed Marcus Rashford in front of goal. Quite often he gets in those 1v1 situations with the keeper in the under-18s and he'll stick it over the bar because he's bursting into the box so fast and so excited. Yeah, but on the biggest stage today, he took a breath and he calmly side-foots the ball along the floor, probably a little bit close to Joe Hart if we're being brutal with him. You want to aim for the cheek there, but he scored a goal, so what more can we say? That composure is starting to come. Now, maybe that's the sort of thing that he has to his game. He's always going to play angry. We saw it several times today where he put the goalkeeper and the defenders under pressure because no one else is doing this. No one's doing it for United, certainly, but there's not many players doing it in the league. One of the players that is doing it in the league is Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy is running at people and he's making them scared, and that's what Rashford's doing. Rashford is putting people under pressure. People at the moment are just happy to let you have the ball in certain areas and we'll deal with it when they cross this line or when they come into this third or whatever. Marcus Rashford's like, fuck that, I'm going for the ball. And there's several players in the academy that have got that sort of mentality at the moment. And it takes its toll. We've seen him cramping up towards the end of the game. Of course it does. He puts in 100%. You can never accuse him of not putting in the effort. And we love to see people putting in the effort, don't we? And it's a character trait. It's not something that you can quantify as a skill, I don't think. Berbatov was a phenomenal player, but he was never going to tear ass around like Tevez. Tevez tear ass around all over the place, but he was never going to have that close control, skill and composure that Berbatov has got. It's a character thing. Now, would I swap Berbatov for Tevez? I don't know, because it depends on the situation. Situationally, sometimes you need a Marcus Rashford, and sometimes you need a Juan Mata, and they're polar opposites in terms of players, I think, the way they play and what you get from them. Maybe you'll get the best out of them working together, and there'll be a real blend there. Maybe you'll get the best out of them if you had 2 of each, dependent on the situation. Well, at the moment, Marcus Rashford, 8 straight starts, which I think is crazy. And I think he probably agree that it's crazy at the moment. But he's justifying his place at the moment, isn't he? I can't ask for more than what he did today. He was a constant threat on the ball when City was coming for him today. He was going past them. He was putting them under pressure under the ball. He took his chance when he got his chance. I mean, that is literally all you want from your centre forward, isn't it? That is it. That is it. Timothy Fosu-Mensah got a few minutes towards the end. Didn't really have a great deal to do. But it's good to see that he was getting minutes. My big question mark is, though, what's Memphis got to do? What does Memphis got to do? Because we've seen Rashford come in, and he's obviously had a couple of great games early doors, and then he had perfectly fine, ordinary, average games, not poor games, but he just did all right, an average, and he was kept in the team. Whereas Memphis, he comes in, he has a couple of great games, and he's out of the team again. And I'd love to know what's going on with him, because I think, especially in the space that we was afforded today by City, he would have been an absolute nightmare for them. Why can't he play? So I don't know what's going on between him and Van Gaal. Maybe it's a personal thing. I have no idea. But I am fucking buzzing for the win. And what does it do to the league table now? Well, we're level on points with West Ham, and we're a point off Manchester City, which is fucking laughable considering the 2 ways that the press treat both our clubs. It's a little bit patronising to West Ham, the way they're being treated, like they're having a fucking great season. Go on, lads. Well, they're level on points with us, who are having a shit season, so what is it? Make your fucking mind up. Now, obviously, there's different expectations for United and West Ham, but one can't be having a fucking phenomenal season and the other having a completely shit season when you're level on points. Am I right? Fucking right, I am. Leicester winning again. Tottenham winning again. I think they're securing the top 4. Arsenal. Ooh, I think they've got the potential still to fuck this up. They're 5 points ahead of us. It's probably a big ask for us to overhaul them, especially with us not having to play them again. We've played them both times that we're going to play them this season. So, how are they going to drop points? Well, they're out of the Champions League, so that's not going to affect them. They're out of the FA Cup, so that's not going to affect them. This is their only thing to concentrate on. But will the fact that their season's all but over now, will they get complacent thinking that they're inside the top 4 and maybe slip out? Because if United and West Ham just raise our game just this much, we could both overtake City and Arsenal. Arsenal's going to be a struggle to do. Is it 8 games left now? Is it 8 games left? I think it's 8 games left. It might be 7, but I think it's 8 games left to overturn 5 points. It's only 2 wins better than them, innit? But United need at least a 50% win ratio and maybe pick up a couple of draws in these remaining 8 games. We're probably going to lose at some fucking stage, aren't we? Let's face it. So what are we looking at finishing with? Just into the 60s, maybe? Very early 60s. Is it enough for top 4? I honestly don't know. But how mad of a season is it going to be if... we're 90 fucking minutes away from a Wembley trip. And West Ham haven't been that great the 2 times that they've been at Old Trafford this season, have they? They haven't. So, I don't know why we don't think we can go and beat West Ham. If West Ham have got a bit of confidence and they think they can come at us, well, that's perfect, because that's the sort of fucking side that we're going and beating at the moment. They're not the side that we lose to. We lose to the sides that close up shop and go, deal with it. And we can't deal with it. The side that comes and plays us leaves a bit of an open pitch for us. As long as fucking Schneiderlin plays, I'm confident of a win. And again, it's no coincidence that Schneiderlin plays, we pick up a win, and Fellaini doesn't. How many times we need to pull these fucking stats out? It's ridiculous. So Morgan has to play. We have to wrap that motherfucker up in cotton wool to the end of this season, and he has to play in every single game. You don't get rested, you don't get dropped, you don't get rotated. He plays in every single game, and we could be on for a decent season end here, because it's been an awful season. Obviously, start the season, we were thinking top 3, let's have a bit of a party, let's see how we do in the Champions League, get some decent trips. Boom, we're out of that. Boom, we're out of the top 4. December comes, we think we're fucking out of everything. Everything's over. But we started to turn it around a little bit now. It's consistency that's killing us at the moment. We ain't got any. But, like I said, 90 minutes away from a Wembley trip. And I think the winner comes from our thread. Can we beat Everton? Fucking right, we can beat Everton. We absolutely battered them at Goodison Park this year. And then can we beat whoever's in the other side of the semi-final? Damn right we could. We can win this FA Cup providing we get past West Ham. That is the sternest test for us. West Ham. Beat West Ham. More than likely them favourites to win the FA Cup. It's not hard, is it? Let's get it done. And then all we got to do is pick up the sort of form that we had earlier in the season. And how are we going to do that? We're going to do that by playing Schweinsteiger and Schneidlin. Maybe Rooney's going to come back into the side now. We've seen him part of the team today. Let's get some of these players back in. Yes, let's keep hold of some of the youngsters that are having phenomenal seasons for us. And let's bring them in and blend them into the good, experienced players that we've got. I don't want to see Fellaini starting another game for us to the end of the season. And if we don't, I'm pretty confident that... let's just fucking throw it out there, right? Let's say we can finish 4th, right? 4th is not an achievement. But from where our expectations have slipped this season, where even yesterday people are saying top 4 is gone, right? To then get top 4 will feel like an achievement for this season. That doesn't mean that top 4 is going to be alright every season. This season, top 4 will be fucking great if we can get it going into next year. Especially if we can overtake City to do it and put fucking Pep Guardiola and the world domination on hold for a couple of fucking years. How funny would that be? So, get in the top 4 and a trip out at Wembley. Let's say we win the FA Cup. Let's say in May, last couple of days of the season, we finish in the top 4 and then we go and win the fucking FA Cup. And Louis van Gaal's allowed to leave on his own terms. Because, as I told you 2 fucking months ago, it looks like Mourinho is a complete and utter done fucking deal. So, Mourinho's coming in the summer. Maybe Louis van Gaal's allowed to resign and we don't sack him and we don't give him the indignity of retiring on being sacked. I think... yeah, he's not had a fucking... I wouldn't call him a success here. But you know what? He's had a hell of a career. Allow him the dignity to fucking leave on his own terms. Especially if it gets an FA Cup win and a top 4 place for United. Because I think with what's happened this season, the injuries, and obviously he's got to take a fucking shoulder of the blame for the way the season's gone. But the injuries have fucked us royal. There's been a lot of problems on and off the pitch. And you've also got to say... the surprise nature of what's happened with Tottenham and Leicester. If they aren't in the top 4, then we're back in the top 4, aren't we? We're 3rd at the moment, if the normal status quo is around. But obviously, they're in the top 4 and we've got to fucking deal with it. The crazy thing is that we could have a top 4 that's not got Arsenal, Chelsea or Manchester City in it next season. The top 4 could finish Leicester, Tottenham, West Ham and United. Think about that. Think about that. That's fucking crazy. Champions Chelsea, everyone thought they was moonwalking this league this year. No chance. And then City signed De Bruyne and Sterling and Otamendi. And they're like, well, they're not going to fucking lose the league, are they? Oh, aren't they? And then Arsenal. Their only time to win the league. City blow it. Chelsea blow it. United don't fucking turn up. And what do Arsenal do? Bottle it. Fucking hilarious. So, all of them could be out the top 4. We could be out the top 4. We could be out the top 4 again. And people are like, what are you going to do? How are you going to retract next year? Well, we fucking signed Falcao and Di Maria when we had no Champions League last time. I think we'll be fine. United are going to throw money at Jose Mourinho once he comes. And him himself will be able to attract some decent signings, I'm sure. I'm sure he's been promised blank checkbook to come and... I mean, I'm sure it's not a cheque. I don't think we deal in cheques. I'm pretty sure it's bank transfers, but you know what I mean. I think he'll be offered anything he wants. Any signing he wants. He'll be able to go and start tapping up whoever he wants. And he's talked that he's been looking at Harry Kane. He's been looking at Aubameyang. He's been looking at Kraus. He's been looking at all these different players. So let's just fucking ride out the rest of the season and see how it goes. I don't want to be defined by a fucking manager in or a manager out. I think that's fucking bullshit. Let's just enjoy the ride, support the lads on the pitch, and see how it fucking goes. Euros, innit? Oh no, not Euros. Internationals this weekend. So, no football. No proper football, at least for a bit. I was gonna, on Tuesday, go and watch the Montague tournament. Or is it a Montague Cup? Some fucking shit like that anyway. It's an under-16s international tournament, and it's America, Brazil, Russia, England, and a handful of others that are in it. And Angel Gomez was playing in it, and I thought, you know what? He's the England under-16s captain. I like making videos about football. I think a road trip out to go and watch Angel will be a fucking cracking couple of days out in France. But I've got some work stuff that I've got to do on Tuesday, so I can't fucking go now. Otherwise, that would have been a belting trip and probably would have got some real good videos out of it, I imagine. So I'm looking for some shit that I can do next week. I have been thinking about going checking out some of the under-18s or under-19s or under-20s and all that lot. But it looks like a lot of the games are played at St George's Park and they're behind closed doors, which is fucking bullshit, isn't it? I only want to go and watch somebody under 18 or under 19. I mean, we've got Williams is in the under 18s. I think Borthwick Jackson's in the under 19s. We've got some players in the under 20s. I want to go and watch our lads, especially with us having no football ourselves this weekend. So, any ideas for any football that's accessible? Because I saw that I think the under 19s are playing at Leek. One's at Chesterfield, I think. Or is that the 17s? I can't fucking remember. But if you have any ideas for any youth football, and even if yourself, like if you're going to one, stick it in the comments and I might come and join you and let's go and watch a bit of footy. UFC this weekend in Australia, mate. I saw the main event with a big walkaway KO from the Super Samoan Mark Hunt. And I saw the Bet Rawlings fight, and then my Skybox fucked up and I haven't recorded the rest of it. So I haven't seen the rest of the card. I've seen the results. And if you don't know already, I run MMA Latest, which is a mixed martial arts blog. We've got a YouTube channel. We've got an app. We've got the full fucking package, basically. We're fully credentialed with the UFC, so we go all over. We send lads all over the fucking place, covering the events live. We get weigh-ins. We get media day stuff. It's fucking good fun. Hopefully in May, I'm heading over with Jim, one of our main writers, to the Rotterdam card, where Alistair Overeem's on it. And hopefully we're going to do fan cams from the UFC. We've done them a couple of times before in Vegas. Go check out the channel. Just search MMA space latest on YouTube and you'll find it. And I'm also doing a career mode on there with the UFC 2 game. I did one on my channel the other day. If you caught it, go and check it out. Obviously, UFC and that's becoming fucking massively popular in Europe since the emergence of Conor McGregor. I've been a UFC fan, MMA fan for probably 9-10 years, something like that. I had one MMA fight myself back in 2010, which was a draw, which is a fair result as well. And it was only, you would only be classed a win or a loss if you was submitted or knocked out. So if it went the distance, it was a draw. So it was a draw, but actually if you watch it, a draw's a fair result. I had a bit of time on top, the other lad had a bit of time on top, so it's a draw. That was about 5 stone ago. So if you're into the UFC, you're into MMA, or you want to know more about it, head over to MMA Latest. Ask me any questions if you want on Twitter, and I'll do my best to try and help you out. But there's some fucking cracking events coming up. UFC 197 has got some unbelievable fights on it, and everyone is looking at UFC 200 in Las Vegas in July, International Fight Week. Probably going to be seeing Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz again, and a whole host of other shit. It's going to be off the chart. So if you're into UFC, let us know in the comments. If you didn't know about MMA Latest, let us know in the comments. And let's just get some discussion going. You know how we do. I'm probably out of bullshit to say, apart from tomorrow morning I'm going into work bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and have a shit-eating grin to be sat there at my desk in the morning like, ha! Morning! Oh, I do love Manchester after Derby weekend. I didn't know if any of you seen the BBC video that me and Gaz did ahead of the Derby. I did predict a 1-0 win, actually. I forgot that I had done. I've predicted quite close games all over the place. But I did say 1-0 on the BBC one. I think I said 2-1 on the Full-Time Devils one. And I mentioned that my nana is mad into United and mad into the Derby and stuff like that. She gets too nervous and can't watch the match, so she'll watch it in another room with it on in the front room. Or she'll listen to it from another room while she's in the front room. She's fucking nuts. I spoke to her earlier. And she goes, all these bleeding City fans coming out of the woodwork with these shirts I've never seen before that they're all wearing. And the other thing that she said was that Van Gaal needs to fuck off. So I might go and see my nana, and I might get a video with my nana this week and see if she can impart some of her football wisdom. She doesn't call us United, she calls us United, which always makes me laugh. As I said, that's me fucking done for tonight, I think. I've got some footy manager stuff coming out. Obviously, I've got my United save, I've got a Salford save, which I need to get videos out on both of those. I've got a career mode coming out on the UFC 2 on MMA Latest, so go and subscribe to them for that. And I've also got Championship Manager 96-97, which I found the other day, which honestly I spent like 3 fucking hours downloading and Googling. And I've got a Championship Manager 4, it's in Portuguese. And I got several different versions that just didn't work. I downloaded them, I'd run them through the DOS emulator and the Windows emulator that I've got, because I'm on a MacBook. And they just didn't work. So I eventually found one, the 96-97 version of Championship Manager 2. And I've got a sick team on there at the moment, and it's mad looking at Cantona and Beckham and Scholes and being able to choose from those players. And the maddest thing is, it's 20 fucking years ago. Do you know how old that makes me feel? Because I can remember playing this game. It's not like, oh, this is 20 years old. I don't really remember it, but whatever. No, I remember playing this game and the one preceding it, Championship Manager 2, a fucking hell of a lot. I mean, a hell of a lot. And now, it's 20 years ago. I feel so fucking old playing this game, but I am having a load of fun with it. Now, if you watch the video, it was an hour long, or 50 minutes long, and that was after I chopped up a little bit as well. Do you want me to stick myself in the corner like I do on the Football Manager ones? Do you want me to just leave it as it is and just leave it as a screen? How long do you want the videos? As usual, just fucking talk to me about what you want. Who was your man of the match today in the derby? For me, it was Schneiderlin. Underrated, understated, and unfucking droppable at the moment. And that is it, I think. Fucking crapping it when there's no football on next week. What have we got to look forward to? Nothing. Is the next game Everton? That's the next home game, I know, anyway. I don't know if that's the actual next game. Whatever. There we go. Quick one for you tonight. How long was that? 26 minutes. Not so much of a waffle. But like I said, throw anything you want in the comments. We'll get some discussion going. I'll reply to everything probably in the morning. I'm going to go play a little bit of Championship Manager now. Advance this game a little bit because I want to get another video out for this week. I am on Premier League News TV tomorrow if you get that in your area. We don't get it in England, so I don't get to fucking see it. I think there's something coming out on Q103 that I did on Thursday. Or it might already be out. Who knows? Hopefully, I can get on the Sun podcast tomorrow as well after a win. I don't think I've ever had one after a win. It's always after we lose. Maybe they don't like speaking to me after we win. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Drop us a like if you don't mind. Hit me up with a subscribe if you don't already. We're over 6,000 now. We are smoking down 7,000. I wonder when we'll get that. Can we get that before the end of the month? What we're talking about here? No, 10 days. Need about 100 a day to be able to do that. Can we do it? I have no idea. Any other suggestions for what you want to see in terms of videos from me? I'm trying to diversify the content, get as much random shit in as possible and see what can stick. Stick it in the fucking comments. Let me know, and I'll see you very soon. Laters.